In the American justice system, the rules are remarkably simple when a federal judge issues a direct order. You follow it, or you face severe criminal contempt charges. But in mid-March 2025, that rule met a severe stress test. The Trump administration was actively deporting suspected Tren de Aragua gang members, invoking an 18th-century wartime authority known as the Alien Enemies Act. Responding to a legal challenge, U.S. District Judge James Boasberg convened a hasty hearing and explicitly ordered the flights carrying these migrants to turn around immediately. The planes didn't stop. They continued their flight path, and the migrants were transported directly into a notorious high-security mega-prison in El Salvador. The executive branch had openly ignored a judicial command. The two branches of government were now locked in a direct collision. This set off a massive legal battle within the highest levels of the justice system. Judge Boasberg prepared a sweeping criminal contempt investigation. He intended to subpoena top officials and hold the government accountable for flouting his orders. Before that probe could truly begin, two Trump-appointed appellate judges stepped in and entirely shut his investigation down, labeling the judge's actions a clear abuse of discretion. Which raises a difficult question. How does a higher court justify protecting the government from the consequences of ignoring a lawful order? To understand the appellate court's reasoning, we first have to look at the evidence Judge Boasberg was gathering at the federal courthouse in Washington. Boasberg wanted to hear from former Justice Department lawyer Erez Rubini. In a whistleblower complaint, Rubini alleged that a top official explicitly told colleagues the administration intended to ignore court orders regarding these deportations. The judge also sought testimony from Drew Ensign, a senior Justice Department official who had formally conveyed Boasberg's halt order to Homeland Security leadership on the very day the flights took place. The logic was straightforward. The administration's leadership was fully aware of the halt order, yet they allowed the deportations to proceed anyway. From the trial court's perspective, this was a clear, open and shut case of willful criminal defiance that demanded immediate investigation. But appellate judges Naomi Rao and Justin Walker saw it differently, writing a sharply worded opinion to overrule Boasberg. Their first defense, the separation of powers. The judges argued Boasberg's inquiry violated executive branch autonomy. By categorizing the transfers as a diplomatic and military initiative involving national security, they ruled trial courts lacked jurisdiction to probe the executive's internal deliberations. Their second defense relied on a strict timeline. During the oral hearing, Boasberg demanded planes turn around, but didn't restrict Salvadoran custody. Those instructions only appeared in a later written order. They ruled criminal liability cannot rely on post-hearing assertions. By combining a rigid timeline technicality with strict constitutional boundaries, the higher court successfully shielded the executive branch from judicial accountability. Because the trial judge's order failed, the deported migrants spent months imprisoned in El Salvador before finally being released in a prisoner swap with Venezuela. The decision to halt the probe was not unanimous. Judge Michelle Childs was the lone dissenting voice on the appellate panel. In a nearly 80-page opinion, she warned that the majority was establishing a legal precedent that permanently ties the hands of trial judges trying to enforce their own rulings. She argued that contempt of court is a severe public offense. Treating it as a mere technicality, she warned, puts the structural balance of the Democratic Republic at risk. The legal fight continues. Lawyers representing the migrants, including lead counsel Lee Gallant, are preparing to ask the full D.C. Circuit to review this panel's controversial decision. But the dispute exposes a sobering reality. The American legal framework heavily relies on an honor system, operating on the assumption that the executive branch will voluntarily respect the courts. When a president determines that a diplomatic initiative overrides a judge's command, the judicial branch may lack the actual power to stop them.